Ready?
Yeah. We're back.
Welcome back to another episode of the Hotel Motill podcast. I am Colin Motill. With me, as always, is my sister, Emily Motill.
Jinx.
Ooh, look at us. We're back for another episode. New design. You can't see it right now, Emily, but I trust the process that there will be a new visual design when you obviously rewatch this podcast on YouTube later.
Totally, because I love to watch myself.
You love the sound of your own voice.
I love the sound of my own voice.
Right before we started recording, you were watching a TikTok that you're in and you were listening to yourself.
Yes, I was judging myself. My review of this Broadway show that I saw last night was really tough. I'm like, God, how do people listen to my voice? I'm so sorry, everyone.
Yeah, you should be apologizing.
I know.
Years of trauma.
And also
usually it's me in the morning at home in Connecticut. You're a morning person. I was not a morning person as a child. You singing loudly or
child
being
still.
No, the worst was in, and we're going back a ways.
High school. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yes, you would leave your phone in your room, go downstairs after your alarm would go off, but you had set multiple alarms. So I'm in the next room.
My alarm.
Oh, whatever.
I'm a one alarm person. I just need the record to show.
I'm not a one alarm person. I'm a many alarms person.
So I have a theory about this. There's two people in this world. There's the one alarm person. They might snooze it here and there, but they're one alarm. They trust themselves to get up with the one alarm, right?
Nope.
Then there's the people that set many alarms. One alarm every 10 minutes, one alarm every 5 minutes, one alarm every 15 minutes. And then there's this goes into the two alarm person, the ones that get exponentially louder the longer you go.
Oh, I think all alarms do that, don't they?
No, but like they're different sounds for each alarm.
Oh, that's next level.
Things. Yeah.
That's like try-hard level of alarm clocks.
That's my theory. There's two types of people in this world. I have like many theories.
So that's the tangent we went on after I was talking about my trauma of you waking me up with your alarm clock just blasting and no one stopping it because I'm in the next room, and it just I forget what it was. It was either just like a regular alarm or it was a Jonas Brothers song or One Direction song. I think it was a song.
I would wake up in high school to Strong by One Direction, obviously. That was my mornings from practice alarm song. But then once I snoozed my alarm, it became the Apple like wah one. And it was always tough because if it was a swimming day and I was waking up at 4:30, the alarm would be going off then. But it usually didn't do that. I usually didn't do that for like the 4:30 stuff. But
yeah, I used to have like I forget the name of the song right now, the Rolling Stones song, "The War Children." It's just a
Can you listen to that song now, or is it traumatic?
No, it's traumatic. Like I unadded it from my Spotify. Like I can listen to it. It's a classic song, but like for like a year or two in high school or middle school or whatever it was, that was my wake up song. Brutal.
Yeah.
It's triggered.
I now
Give me shelter.
Like I listen to One Direction when I'm running or whatever, and the first intro of that song comes on, which is a great song and it's a good running song. I have to skip it. So
I'm also triggered by the song in Hamilton. It's the "Pardon Me, Are You Aaron Burr, Sir?" Because the name of that song is, I guess, Aaron Burr, Sir.
Yeah, it's
whatever.
Yeah.
It's double A in the beginning.
Double A,
so when I would get into my car and Apple Music would autoplay, that would be the first song that would come up every time.
Spotify people.
Well, that's back when that was in Apple Music. That's when this, I think, Hamilton soundtrack we had on Apple Music. And back in the day, the car would autoplay with Apple Music, which was very annoying. Anyway, we've gone off the rails already, haven't we? We're here to talk about movies. So 2025, we are almost to the summer season of the movie season. We did the Oscars. That was all fun and games. But then since the Oscars, there's been some movies coming out. And we want to talk about those movies because there were some good ones, some bad ones. But the state of cinema right now, if you will, is very interesting.
Good.
So I think the first thing we need to talk about is Sinners.
Yeah.
Because that's all the buzz right now. Overperformed at the box office in its opening weekend. We're recording this on Thursday, the 24th. So we won't know the second weekend, but I'm imagining it's going to be pretty great as well, just because of word of mouth and all that. I think it'll have legs and repeat viewings.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think, there's articles about if The Accountant too has enough IP or like standing power against Sinners.
I'm curious to see how that'll do.
Yeah.
Like, The Accountant is a well-liked movie-ish, but like, I don't know if it's gonna
never heard of it until Dad was like, have you seen this movie? And then he forced us to watch it.
Yeah, that's fair. But I don't know. It had a good staying power on streaming, I guess. That's what Affleck has been saying. And so, well, I don't know how that's going to translate to box office, but I think I might go see it today, honestly, opening day, just because why not? I like The Accountant.
The Knicks play today, Colin.
That's right. All right, maybe I'll go tomorrow.
This is the time of year where our plans revolve.
Yeah, we're both got the Knicks stuff on. So we have to talk about that too, real quick.
Yeah.
The Detroit Pistons are pissing me off. All right. They're young and scrappy, and I just, like, it's kind of reminding me of, like, the Milwaukee Brewers last year with the Mets, where it's just, like, these games are just annoying. Like, I'm not having any fun watching these games. Even the game we won, I wasn't having any fun. So it's 1-1 in the series right now going into tonight. Ideally, we win this series, and then we're going to lose to Boston in the next round because that's how it's going to go.
Yeah.
But
I have had plans because obviously I made plans and then they released the playoff schedule. And I literally was like, I actually have plans the first two nights of the game. The first one was like a book club. So I'm like talking about a book and I'm like watching the game on my phone. And I start clapping when they like went on their like 15-0 run or whatever. And everyone was like, oh, why are you clapping about this book? Like, why is Emily clapping? And I was like, it's fine. It was
ideal for me because during that game one, I was working that night. And so I missed like the first 3 quarters, basically. I was like checking it
when they constantly. Were
bad. Yeah. And then literally the second I get in my car, I'm actually like following along and watching it before I get home. Like that's when they go on their run. So I only saw the good parts of game one, really, until I watched the highlights and everything.
And then night 2, game 2, this will get us back to the state of cinema, Colin.
There we go.
Because I had plans.
Podcasting 101 right there.
I know. Look at
Staying
that
on topic.
Segue. I had plans to see Pride and Prejudice with friends on that Monday in a theater. And obviously we did like drinks and dinner beforehand, but we didn't do dinner. Dinner was popcorn and M&Ms, obviously.
The best dinner.
And a big Diet Coke. But I had planned it. I was really looking forward to it. And then just the whole time in the back of my head, like, I mean, not really, because you're just like so immersed in the world when you see that movie in a theater, and the soundtrack is just whatever. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And literally in the back of my head, though, I'm literally like, I wonder what the Knicks score is.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the movie ends, I'm literally like, fuck. So, yeah.
That's very funny.
But that's the state of cinema now.
Yes. So
Pride and Prejudice.
Quick Pride and Prejudice. Let's touch on that real quick. So re-release in theaters for the 20th anniversary?
Came out in 2005, yeah.
Okay, because that's interesting because Star Wars Revenge of the Sith is also having its 20th re-release in theaters this weekend, and I will probably go see it because I love that movie.
Tickets were really, like, I bought these tickets as soon as they went on sale because some, like, a friend of mine wanted to see it and she's never seen the movie, and I was like, no, we should see it in a theater with like a group of people. It's so cool. And it was an awesome experience. Like the soundtrack, the shots, some of like the shots where you're like, oh my God, it's so gorgeous. And then there's one where it's like, you can tell it was on like a green screen versus like not, you know.
And then remind me, this is the Keira Knightley, Matthew McFadden.
Yeah. Whatever. Darcy, where he does the hand thing, which was unscripted.
So I have a very mixed memory of Pride and Prejudice just because my name is Colin and I was named after Colin Firth and with 1L. And he was in the miniseries.
BBC miniseries, yep.
Yeah. So
that our mom watched while pregnant with me. I want to say. And so she was like, I always wanted to name someone Colin, and then I was a girl.
And then you came out and it was a disappointment. That's how it goes.
Totally.
We're going back. We're going into my trauma now. Let's go back to when you pushed me down when I was having my first steps.
No. Let's go back to, hey, let's name Emily the most basic, generic name that every single girl born in the late 90s, early 2000s is going to be named.
Yeah, but how about the hot sec when our dad wanted to name me Emerson, because then it would be M and M, which, like,
hey, what a great podcast name that would have been.
If my first name was Emerson, if I was Emerson Motill, I think there's a great chance I would go by my middle name. I would go by Davis.
You couldn't even go by like ED.
Yeah,
that's tough.
That would be actually really funny. I could just own that. That could be my new thing. I mean, there's guys that go by BJ. You know,
yeah, but that's a guy thing.
I could make that my personality.
That's so different. It's so different, Colin.
Yes, my name is ED, and no, I don't have what you think. Anyway, let's move on. Pride and Prejudice is having a bit of a resurgence because the new Netflix show, right? Mm-hmm. That had who'd that cast again? Emma Corrin.
Emma Corrin, Jack Lowden, and then I don't know. Oh, and Olivia Colman, which amazing casting for Olivia Colman.
So that show's going to be like unbelievably massive, right? Like that's going to be like huge. I can't imagine that not being as big as like The Crown or bigger.
I'm just worried that because it's Netflix, they're going to Bridgerton it a bit.
Make it sexy. Is that what that means? Yeah, I haven't seen Bridgerton.
Oh, like, yeah, sexy, but like more modern, like the costumes and the makeup and like more colorful and like it can still be, it can still be.
I guess, are you opposed to a new adaptation of it? Like, or do you just want it to be the same as the Keira Knightley or Colin Firth one?
I think the Keira Knightley one, what's different about it, and I've had this discussion with Mom because she loves, obviously, the Colin Firth one. The Colin Firth BBC miniseries is word for word, verbatim, beat for beat, the book, right? So the Keira Knightley one is the perfect mix of that, where they've modernized it a little bit. They've cleaned it up. They've kind of said, let's make this more dramatic and have this character come at night, even though, she's a woman of the court. She would never show up at someone's house unannounced at nighttime in the 1700s. Certain like things like that. They've made like the yearning and the romance. So they cranked it up a little bit more by still being faithful to the story. So I'm just worried that, Bridgerton books are just like, it's just like a Regency romance book. So they can do that because this is like steeped in literature history. So that's my rant on that. But if they can do it respectfully, kind of like how the Keira Knightley book movie did, where it felt in the same lane as the originals and very true to the story in the book, and I'm fine with it, I guess.
Okay. So
I'm protective of it.
I understand. This is like, in my head, I rationalize it as like Pride and Prejudice is almost like, in a way, a more like female audience driven like Marvel movie or whatever, where it is like everyone loves this. They love retelling this story. Like this is
iconic.
It's iconic. Yeah. It's going to be big.
And I think now I'm getting into reading and talking about books. Romance books are so popular right now, and girls love the tropes of a romance book. And Jane Austen notoriously created these tropes. And, enemies to lovers, all of this stuff is like, you can find the fundamentals of almost every single romance trope in a Jane Austen book.
You ready for the segue?
Yeah, let's see it.
Sinners. We're segueing to Sinners.
Okay, let me hear it.
Oh, wait, no, I want you to try and guess the segue.
Okay. I'm talking about romance books. I'm talking about Regency. I'm talking about a time period. You're talking about the 1930s style.
You're getting colder.
Oh,
you're close. You're closer off the beat. Nope.
Books.
Nope. It was like the first thing you said.
Oh, romance.
Emily, is sex back? Is it because there? Is it back? Chat, are we back?
That was an amazing segue. Absolutely.
The segue is, you know how there's been this like debate. Well, we were talking about ED earlier. There's been like this debate online, I guess, of do people like sex scenes in movies and TV shows? Because like there is a level of uncomfortability with like younger people, especially, where like as less and less sex in movies and TV shows have been shown to audiences. They've wanted it less or whatever. But as you mentioned, romantic books are very
novels.
back.
Mm-hmm.
That smut fantasy series that you love, that my roommate is also reading for some reason, which I don't think is weird.
It's not that smutty.
He says the third book is very smutty. Or not as like focused on the lore and the fantasy elements as much as the romance is what he said.
That's fair.
So I think he's starting to get a little frustrated with the third book. I'm getting all the updates. Don't worry.
I could give him another series he can read.
Oh gosh.
My fairy sex books. A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Anyway. So is sex back? Because Sinners, and like we don't have to do like a full review or whatever. I think the review would just be go see it because it's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Go see it on the biggest screen
if
possible.
You can. Yes.
Yeah.
Like I kind of I test out who I'm talking to when I'm talking about this movie because I'm like, oh, like I saw Sinners, it was great, and then I kind of like see if they're really interested or not before I say like, oh, like if you're really interested, like you should go see it in IMAX or try and find the best. It's a really good theatrical experience.
Yeah, I had a girl at book club cancel her ticket, and then I forced her to buy an IMAX ticket.
Hell yeah. So we both saw it in IMAX, which I think is great. And I thought it was definitely worth seeing in IMAX for the certain aspect ratio changes. Certain scenes just look unbelievably spectacular. And it's like most of the film is shot very wide, where it's got the big letterboxes on the top and bottom, right? And that looks really cool on an IMAX screen too. Just because, like, even though the actual footage is like more thinned out than you would think, it looks really cool when it starts to widen up and go into the big IMAX screen.
Did you think because obviously the first shot of the movie is the full IMAX screen, and then it goes wide. I was like, oh, we'll only be wide until like a certain point. Maybe this is just like, them telling how we get to here, and then it'll just be wide for I saw it on a Wednesday night, so I didn't have any of the spoilers. The Ryan Coogler video wasn't on my radar yet of him explaining the aspect ratios. I knew nothing about the aspect ratios going in. I just knew that I was seeing it on 70mm IMAX, and that's the way
flex.
Yep, 1 of 10 theaters in the entire world. No big deal.
Lincoln Center, right?
Yeah, Lincoln Center. The biggest screen in the northern hemisphere or the western hemisphere or something.
And isn't it like selling out like I think it's like all week. Sinners has been like sold out.
I'm comparing in my head how hard this was to get this ticket that I got. I got like the early access. The early access like fan screening on Wednesday night. I treated that like how Interstellar and 70mm was. Like I was stocking AMC tickets or
even The Brutalist.
Oppenheimer was so hard for me to see again in the 70mm because it was selling out like crazy. So I'm comparing it to that in my head, which is exactly what
that's not a fight I have to work for as much, but like luckily I can still see it in IMAX, which I think is good enough. You know, like the film head in me is like, damn, I'm getting hella FOMO seeing people see it in 70mm, and like the Coogler video of him explaining all the different ways to watch the movie and stuff. Like I was transfixed on that. Like I'm a film guy, I guess. Like, so I'm more interested than maybe the average person. But like the way he broke it down was so again? Cinema and media studies. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, clearly I'm very successful. Anyway, the way he broke down all this stuff was just so engaging and casual, and it's just like he's just such a cool, normal dude.
And it wasn't pretentious in any way, right? Where it's like you can be talking about that stuff and be like, well, you don't know what 15 perforations are. It's like, no, I've never seen a reel of film in my life.
I love that he can geek out on that stuff and explain it in a way that feels inclusive and doesn't feel, like too pretentious, like you said.
Yeah.
And I think his like love of cinema and film and filmmaking techniques really shows in this movie. There's obviously the one sequence that everyone has talked about. We're not going to spoil any of these movies that we're going to talk about, by the way, in case anyone's worried about that.
we can influence more people to go see Sinners in theaters. I've already done it. I've gotten like so many people
Me
who are
too.
like, I was never going to see this movie, a vampire movie. And I was literally like, you don't find out about the vampire. It's literally like a piece of life, like a slice of life, but like vampires in the 1930s Jim Crow South.
I was going to ask
You know what I mean?
if when you're recommending the movie, you tell people about the vampires or not.
I do, but I say it's not scary. Like, it's more, yes, there was like some jump scares, like 2, but it's not
a
scary.
horror movie, really. It's more of a thriller.
Yeah, it's a thriller, but it's also like a character study, really.
Right.
And like about people's motivations.
I love what Coogler said about it being a full meal. That was his quote, where I really respect that when a movie is a full meal, where we're getting a lot of half-baked ideas in theaters. Like, all right, let's talk real quick. Captain America, there's a Red Harrison Ford Hulk. Like, that movie was just, there was nothing there. It was a half-baked idea. The trailer was the whole movie, basically. He's going to fight a little Red Hulk.
The trailer was the third act of the movie, Colin.
So
it didn't matter. The whole stakes didn't matter because which it's very similar. We're talking about those two. I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like we were also very hesitant. We're very much like, we'll watch the trailer, but then we kind of want to like just be surprised. But this movie, I'm literally sitting around for an hour and a half. Sinners, you're waiting around an hour and a half and you're like, well, when is the brother going to die or turn into a vampire or whatever? And like that happens like halfway through like mid act 2. Yeah. And you're still so moved by it and taken by it because it happens in, a funny way.
I would say, like, to anyone who might be listening that hasn't seen Sinners yet, probably don't watch at least the second trailer, because I think the second trailer shows a little bit too much of, obviously there's vampires, so you know that some characters in the movie get turned into vampires. So it's like, okay, they may have revealed a little bit too much in the second trailer, but also I understand that Warner Brothers has to sell this movie. Because this was to get into the inside baseball behind the scenes of this movie. It had a very weird deal with Warner Brothers where Ryan Coogler gets the rights back to this movie in 25 years, which is a very, not unheard of, but like Quentin Tarantino got that for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So you have to have a certain level of status. Like Spielberg doesn't get that for his movies, usually. He probably could have if he asked, but it's a huge ask. And so there's a lot of kind of controversy about that because Warner Brothers is going to not make all their money up front because Coogler is going to get a lot of the money as well at first. Right. And this was a $90 million movie. And like, I don't want to talk too much about the box office in a negative sense because I think it's a box office hit, first of all. Yeah. And I think it's going to,
I think it's already mainstream.
At least break even in theaters. And then movies make so much more money after theaters and they just do not tell us about it. And with streaming, all these numbers are unquantifiable because how do you put a number on max subscribers that Sinners brings in a couple months or whatever? It's stupid. But this movie is going to be profitable. But there's a lot of discourse around this movie, specifically how that Variety article was covered. Did you see that?
Which one?
There's the Variety article. They were talking about the box office. They were like, oh, Sinners is off to a good start, but it's a long ways away from profitability. And there was a whole conversation about how we didn't have these similar conversations with Quentin Tarantino when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out. He had the same kind of deal where he gets a lot of the money up front and he gets the rights back. And no one was really talking about that movie not necessarily being a huge box office smash right away.
Right.
So it's a little conversation about race. Is that like a Coogler thing? Also, like, there's an idea that black movies don't do well overseas. That's really just China, if we're being fully honest. Like, there's not, like, there is a bit of, they change the posters and stuff for China movies. For, like, the China release of, like, Star Wars The Force Awakens, they took John Boyega off the poster in China to sell the movie.
Can I say?
Yeah.
I think, now going back to like the actual movie, but like selling a movie is different than like the actual movie. I think the movie has something for everyone in it.
That's
You're
really
interested
important.
in the Jim Crow South, you see this crazy town where even like the Asian pharmacies that had a white one across the street than a black one. And I was like, that is so fascinating to me. And I didn't even think that actually like exist. Obviously it did.
There's a
And
key
like how
inclusion
they
of
were the
Native American
bridge.
characters.
Yeah. And like, they talk about, the white woman coming into the space and like she doesn't care. But then he wants a better life for her, Haley Steinfeld's character.
Who's a quarter black or whatever.
Or an eighth.
Or an eighth, yeah. Which I
but,
guess
like,
is true. Haley Steinfeld
apparently.
actually is.
Yeah. But, like, that's also things that were probably, it's just, there's something for everyone. And if you just like a good movie too.
Right. I think
go watch it.
We can't stress that enough because I do think that's getting lost in the shuffle a little bit, is that this is just a good genre movie.
It's a good original movie.
Like
original.
It's easy to say that this is the type of movie that everyone wants more of, right? But that's true. And I think that people get some people might get off put by this is about the Jim Crow South and or the not knowing lines. That it's just a really fun action movie at some point.
I do think TikTok is really like focusing on like Haley Steinfeld says some crazy ass shit in this movie. And
is sex back, Emily? We have to talk about this. We're going back.
I bring it back. That was a segue.
That was a good segue. Because this movie is horny as hell.
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld character says some crazy things, which great. I mean, I think it's good that we're having romance and sex in movies again, seemingly. So we don't raise a generation of incels. Yeah, preacher boy. He just wanted a taste. King. But
great.
Sinners.
I mean, my last thing is how I pitched it to people seeing it. And this will go back to I'm currently doing a study / I'm watching all of Paul Thomas Anderson movies to get ready for his new one in the summer that's coming out. Yep. And so I just watched There Will Be Blood for the first time. And that was 2 days before I saw Sinners. I watched There Will Be Blood for the first time. And I was literally like, I would have loved to see this movie in a theater and experience sitting there and being like, this movie is a banger. Everyone is like, you could tell the movie's just like operating at a higher friction than anything else. And you're just so captivated. The performance, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's an amazing movie. Then I watched Sinners and I was like, this is 2025's There Will Be Blood, in my opinion. Like, maybe I was like biased because I watched them very close to each other, but it felt like that. It felt like a big movie. It felt like a big production. It felt like a movie that will be studied in film schools and all of that. So that was my pitch to regular people. I'm so sorry. The plebes. The
normies. The general audiences is the PC term.
Sorry, I call them the muggles, if you will.
Yeah.
I say like this is a movie that is going to go down in cinema history as like one of the best. So. And
like Coogler is 38, 39 years old or whatever. Like he's easily the most
backwards too.
He's easily the best filmmaker under 40, and his career, his resume is already better than most filmmakers in Hollywood.
It's him, Nolan, and Tarantino that have like, I mean, you could say Spielberg maybe, but like a seamless, like no skips kind of.
And like, but like I put him in like the like it's hard to compare generationally. Like I can't compare him to Spielberg, who has 30 more movies than him, but I put him in the same camp as Greta Gerwig, as Jordan Peele, as younger filmmakers. Like I guess Chris Nolan is still in this generation because of the IMAX in the film aspect of it.
But then also think about it. Nolan did IP. Nolan did Batman.
It's a very similar trajectory of using comic book IP to kind of parlay your career into doing what you actually want to do. Obviously, this movie was super personal to Coogler. And the movie is about, Black culture and what that means to hold on to that. And so it's cool that he got his deal to hold on to this movie, to have the rights revert back to him. I think that's a little extra layer.
Yeah.
So let's move on from Sinners because I don't want to spoil anything by accident.
Yep.
But
you're almost dead.
My favorite movie of the year so far, Sinners.
Yeah, same.
Let's So let's talk
so
about
back.
a couple. We're so back. Let's talk about a couple of the other movies that we liked this year so far. I want to start with Warfare because we saw Warfare together a couple weeks ago. It's a movie that I will never watch again. I've decided because it is just very harrowing.
How was your anxiety during that? We didn't really discuss. I mean,
it was pretty tough, honestly. Like my heart was racing. Like, for people who don't know, Warfare, it is co-directed by Alex Garland, who did Civil War and Annihilation and Ex Machina, amongst other things. It's also co-directed by Ray Mendoza, who is a real-life veteran who is in this mission that is depicted in the movie. The movie goes out of its way to have no characterization for its character, like nothing. It is solely about the mission and how the fuck these guys are going to get out of there. And it doesn't give you any context for why they're fighting, what's going on. Obviously, you can figure out the context for yourself. Yeah. But
let's be smart, audiences. Let's be smart.
I liked that the movie didn't explain anything, even like military lingo, nothing.
Yeah.
And it's
you
just
jump in.
Like, a lot has been said about this being like the most realistic depiction of a war movie, whatever. But
of war
it's hard for me to say that's not true because that's really what it felt like in the theater. I mean, I didn't see Saving Private Ryan in a theater, or I haven't seen a lot of war movies in theaters.
Those are like a mission, right? Like most war movies.
And a different
think
war.
about think about like 1917, right? Like that's a mission kind of thing that has like a certain point of view or whatever. This was just so and also it can be said that this is a different war and not as like glamorous or well studied as World War I, World War II, Vietnam. Like,
a little less clean.
This is current,
and it's less
2008.
Like with World War II, there's more clear sense of right and wrong. You know, of
villains,
like the villains. Here are the bad guys, the Nazis. Here are the good guys. Where, depending on certain points of view or whatever you want to say, the heroes and villains in this movie aren't clear cut at all. You don't really understand why it's happening. You're not necessarily, I mean, you're rooting for these soldiers, but you don't really, there is no like scene where the character's like, this is why we're fighting for this or whatever. It's like, they don't even know why they're there. They're just trying to survive.
And I do think that, like we said, like there's no characterization, but I have to talk about the casting. Like they cast probably the up and coming generation of male actors that will be in Hollywood.
Let's go through the list.
Let's go through the list.
Will Poulter,
already
Kit Connor.
Has been a movie star for years. Kit Connor, he's already up and coming. He's came already. He's like there. He's made it.
Charles Melton.
Joseph Quinn.
Michael Gandolfini. James Gandolfini's son.
Your boy from
from Shogun. Jarvis, Cosmo Jarvis.
This off the cuff.
Cosmo Jarvis, which is an unbelievably good name. Cosmo Jarvis.
Also, he was incredible in this movie. Incredible.
He's an incredible actor.
Yeah. The guy from, I'm going to say the show wrong, Reservation Dogs.
No, you got it.
Oh, good. Okay.
Every single other time you make this is a common mistake, though, of saying Reservoir Dogs. Like, that's like understandable. A lot of people make that mistake just because of the famous movie, whatever. But
thank you.
I'll put that in the tier of Emily Flubs. That's like a middle tier, like understandable one. It's not Bryce Dallas Harper.
That makes sense to me.
Bryce Dallas Harper is my favorite. But
that's just to name like you even have like Noah Centineo.
Yeah.
You have like
unrecognizable, by the way. I didn't even know he was in the movie until afterwards.
Oh, I only knew because I saw him like doing press for it and that kind of stuff. But I think the audience is familiar enough with their faces, and like Kit is playing the young person that's literally saying what the whole audience is thinking, right? Character. Like he's playing the audience's point of view. And he is just like a young guy that the audiences kind of know of now and being like, oh, he's the new guy in Hollywood. He's the new guy in this movie. Like you don't need to explicitly say it, but because of the casting and the way they did it, which was amazing. And they also sold the movie on people that probably would never have seen Warfare because they love Kit Connor or they love Joseph Quinn
or even
Charles
just
Melton.
A24 as a brand, which is a whole other conversation that we can go into about how A24 is seemingly trying to become the auteur of their work, or not even seemingly. They have been trying to do that for many years, and they've convinced a lot of normies, general audience people, that when they see an A24 logo, that they're in for the highest quality of indie movie. And like, it's kind of like the greatest trick the devil ever pulled or whatever. Because not every A24 movie, not every indie movie is an A24 movie. Not every A24 movie is some weird, twisted, unbelievably new, fresh idea or whatever.
Sure.
So I think that just like A24 putting their name on this, like, sold it to a lot of people, even though
of course,
there's no like real A24-ness in air quotes about it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about some other movies that we liked real quick. Black Bag.
Black Bag's
sleek, great. Fun. We'll watch that again on a plane. Like, that is a
Soderbergh.
Great plane. Yeah. I don't know what I want to watch. I'll put this on. Like you said, like, you'll never watch Warfare again. I feel like Black Bag you can come to a few times. Great performances. Again, treats the audience smart. Creates this own little world that you're in where you just understand it immediately. You like, oh, we're in the land of spies. Got it. Good.
And like similar to Sinners in a way, it's like that mid-budget kind of movie that they don't really make anymore. So like this was one that I know that you and I made sure to kind of go out of our way to go see in the theater or whatever. A lot of people didn't. So I assume it's going to hit streaming in like a week or whatever, something stupid, or if it's not already on streaming.
It's so interesting though when like, because I feel like all of my friends were talking about that movie in a way, or being like, hey, have you seen that like Black Bag movie?
You're such in a New York circle. There's like no one. Like,
damn.
Thank
you for grounding me.
I think that's great. Don't get me wrong, but that is just not the world I live in at all. Black Bag was not on a single person's radar that I know here.
But what about Mickey 17?
Mickey 17 at least was on the radar of people, but I personally could not convince anyone to go see it, nor do I know anyone that went to go see it. And I mean, it was a flop. Like, it was always going to be a flop if we're being honest. It was just a blank check movie for Bong Joon-ho after his Parasite Oscar win. And blank check movies are very fun. I love a good blank check movie. I think they're kind of like the director's most interesting kind of movie. Like, Ryan Coogler's next movie is going to be, I mean, it'll be Black Panther 3, but his next original movie, which he will have a blank check for, will be kind of like Sinners, but maybe even crazier.
Yeah.
Ari Aster, who did he did Beau is Afraid. Did you ever see the Beau is Afraid?
No, I had a ticket to it, but it freaked me out, and it was also like 3.5 hours long.
3 hours long. I finally watched it on Max like a couple weeks ago. That's a blank check movie and a half. Like 3 hours of Joaquin Phoenix just tripping and going crazy in these weird sequences. Good movie, but very odd.
Like, I'm all fine for a long movie. I love a long movie, obviously, when I know it's going to be like I don't know, The Brutalist or whatever is different. But
the blank check movie is almost always a movie that has like 20 to 30 minutes of too much runtime, but it's the director's vision and whatever, and it's usually got some grand thing to say or whatever. So I like the idea of these blank check movies. I enjoyed Mickey 17 a lot.
Yeah,
I still think it's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Just because of the lack of really great movies so far. But I love a good weird sci-fi movie. I like Robert Pattinson playing these weird quirky characters, and
he's been picking great roles recently.
Yeah, and he's going to be busy.
People. Yeah.
Let's real quick. Pattinson, he's got coming up. He's got an Batman. A24 movie with Zendaya called, I think, The Firm. So it's a thriller. He's got Batman 2, which might never happen, but he's in The Odyssey. He's in Dune Part 3. He's going to be the villain. Oh, not officially, but he's rumored to be the villain in Dune Part 3. I just feel like he's got all these like little sicko roles down. And I think Austin Butler is on a similar trajectory because I saw him in that Eddington trailer, the Ari Aster trailer.
Yeah.
Immediately I was like, that's a Robert Pattinson role that Austin Butler is playing, at least seemingly.
Well, so Austin Butler was cast as the role in American Psycho.
Oh, that's right, with Luca.
Yeah, with Luca, and everyone was kind of, campaigning for other people, and I was like, I think this is perfect for him. He plays like him in Dune, like just even like the voice work, he can transform into the characters. I don't know. I just think that's a good lane for him. I agree.
Yeah. There's been some interesting American Psycho discourse recently. Like the original movie's director, she came out and she was like, I can't believe people are like people who took the wrong message from that movie and like worship Patrick. Yeah, exactly. They think his lifestyle is cool and his suits are Christian cool Bale. And whatever. But like, obviously he's an idiot. So it'll be interesting to see.
He's a terrible person.
It'll be very interesting to see how a new American Psycho will adapt the book more specifically, maybe, or like I just feel like you can't imitate Christian Bale's performance. So I'm curious to see how that movie turns out, if it gets made at all. But let's keep going with 2025 movies. Any other thoughts on Mickey 17?
No, I was in my head when you were talking. I was kind of being like, I was listening to you. But in my head, I was kind of thinking like, where would I rank Mickey 17 in like movies that I've seen this year that I've really enjoyed? And I think it would be in like the 4 tier. Like it would be, or like right below, like I think it would be Warfare. What's another 4-star movie that I saw?
So
Black Bag.
I made a list for myself. I'll give you my my
Wait,
top
no, I have
6.
I have it.
Okay, all right.
I have it. Hold on. So it's obviously Sinners, 5 stars on Letterboxd, which I got shit for by someone.
That's not true. Hold on. I did not give you shit. You gave me shit for not giving it 5 stars.
Correct.
Yeah, that's crazy. I gave it 4.5 stars. That is a 9 out of 10. That is a great score for a movie that I've seen just once. If I see it multiple times, it could go up, it could go down.
Fine.
I don't know.
I'm more lenient with my 5 stars, okay?
I like to actually have taste, and I don't like to overreact.
I don't give many 5 stars out. I'm not here.
How many 5 stars did you give out last year?
Probably
not
4,
that it's a competition.
5.
Not that it's competition.
Probably 4 or 5.
I gave out 2.
Yeah,
that's where I stand on that.
For me.
I know. So 2 is you like.
I took
not that
Wicked
it's like
down a star, Colin, after the 3rd time.
Well, after the 3rd time.
Anyway, here's my list.
Go.
Sinners. I think it's going to go Warfare and Black Bag right there because those are solid 4 stars. Then we have the 3.5s. We have Death of a Unicorn. We have that are like huge swings, really cool. Thought it was
I really
original.
didn't like Death of a Unicorn, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know if you saw it.
I thought it was bad.
Yeah, I was like, there were so many things that worked for me. Like Will Poulter's character just like worked for me.
Easily my favorite part of the movie is Will Poulter.
Yeah, like it was awesome, and that unhinged family, and just like, and I do love.
I just thought it was bland.
I thought it was a big swing. I thought the unicorns looked terrible. Like,
I don't care about the unicorns looking terrible because of like budgetary reasons. Like that, I can like overlook. I just thought that ultimately it wasn't as clever as I wanted it to be. I wanted it to. It either needed to be like a gripping satire or something more farcical, and I think it's like kind of awkwardly in between to the point of it just being like
yeah. So I gave it a 3.5 because I was like,
I gave it a 2.
That's fair. And then so I'd put that and Mickey 17 kind of together, where I was like, big swings, kind of cool, some fun moments, some other points where I was like, did we need this kind of thing? And then I would put like Novocaine at a solid. I think I put Novocaine at a solid. I
still haven't seen Novocaine.
Yeah, so I think Novocaine's in, like, it was fun, but I mean, the best part of Novocaine, honestly, for me, was they played Casual by Chappell Roan in the middle of this like action movie.
Was that eye roll visible enough for you? Did you see it?
Yeah,
I'll do it again if you want.
It was no. It was so funny. That was the best part of the movie. And so then so I just put that there, and then I put one of them. Oh, I forgot about One of Them Days, which we can talk about, and Companion. Those are like 4 stars too.
So I got you with those because I want to mention I have like a top On Letterboxd, I made like a top 6 list because these are really the only 6 that I've liked. So I didn't really want to like start ranking like the ones towards the bottom.
You didn't want to get towards the bottom of.
I don't care for ranking like which is the worst movie of the year or whatever. I don't really care for that. I don't mind like best of lists, but I think we're losing the point when it's like what movie is slightly worse than the other. It's like who cares?
Right.
But Sinners is my number 1. Then, similar to you, I have Black Bag number 2 and Warfare number 3. And I have Mickey 17 right behind Warfare at number 4. That could change. Where, like, I think Warfare is
over.
Exactly. Mickey 17 is a fun... I don't know how Mickey 17 is going to age because of the Mark Ruffalo. Yes. And that performance really didn't work for me. And I wonder if, as the movie ages, that only looks worse and worse. But... we'll see.
Or it could look better.
Better. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then I have number 5. I have Companion. So I actually really liked Companion.
Me too.
We could talk about that really quickly. Sophie Thatcher, Jack Quaid,
Lucas Gage.
Yeah, pretty clever twist in it. And so if you don't know anything about Companion, it's now streaming on Max.
I feel like the twist was ruined for people.
But crazy too soon for it to be on Max. It should be in theaters for 90 days. But if you're going to watch it, don't go in knowing too much about it because then I think you'll be rewarded more. So we won't talk about the plot as much, but I thought it was a really fun twist on AI. And I thought that Jack Quaid was particularly very funny. And
Colin, it's your worst fear, though, for men in the future.
My worst fear?
Like it's Jack Quaid's character is kind of giving incel level.
Well, yeah. It's because he didn't have sex in movies anymore, and so he had to hire us. Oh, no, I won't say.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I do have to say, though, here's my quick anecdote about Companion seeing in a theater. All of the Companion trailers are like horror, scary movie trailers, right?
From the unhinged minds behind Barbarian was all over the marketing.
Right. So
it's not horror at all.
And so it's not horror at all. So I knew
if anything, it's a comedy.
Right. So I knew that. It's like a romance comedy with like a horror fun twist.
Right. Dark comedy, maybe?
Yeah. Like Fresh. I would put it in the same category as that movie.
That was a good movie. I just saw that like recently. The Sebastian Stan movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. Daisy Edgar Jones.
Really good. Yeah, it was really fun. The joke about Daisy Edgar Jones is that she works with the internet's crush.
Yeah.
Like she's collecting them like
Glenn
gemstones.
Like Infinity Stones.
Thanos. Yeah. Like she's Thanos of the internet's boyfriends.
That's funny.
Yeah. Paul whatever, we can
Paul
keep
Mescal.
About Yeah. But I took my friend Ari and she hates scary movies. And literally the whole time during the trailers, she's like this. And she's like, Emily, if you brought me to a scary fucking movie right now,
for Companion?
I'm going to kill you. Yes. Because the trailers were so scary. And I was like, trust me, you're going to be fine. The whole 10 minutes before the twist happens, she's literally panicking. She's like, they're going to go to this house and they're all going to kill each other. Like in that way. I think there's
a somewhat level of like comfortability with Jack Quaid though, where like, it's not going to be like, even like he's in Scream,
I think the trailers
and he's like kind of funny in Scream. He's not just like that's like a horror.
Are you a Scream guy?
Comedy. No, I'm not a Scream. I've seen the first Scream. I know he's in the new Scream or whatever, and I know.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new ones.
I don't really care about Scream, but like I know what happens in the new movies. But yeah, he's like very popular, and like I feel like this was a really good role for Jack Quaid because it kind of plays on his kind of personality on and off the camera, and kind of that helps with the twist a little bit. So that's a pretty good movie that I would recommend to people as like a fun original movie. I wish people saw it in theaters, but alas. And then my number 6 is One of Them Days, where I recently saw that on Netflix. I wish I saw it in the theater.
It was fun in the theater.
I just didn't have time, but I wanted to see it in the theater, and it's really funny. Just SZA's actually a pretty funny actress. I wanted to mention that, but also Keke Palmer is.
Yeah.
Keke Palmer should be way bigger of a star than she is.
She is, though. I mean, she is in like the internet sense, But
I'm saying like, why is she not like
Zendaya?
Like, yeah, exactly. Where like she could be leading an action comedy franchise or something.
She could have been in Challengers.
Or she could be like, this is my fan cast that's also very popular on the internet, but I think she'd be a really good rogue in X-Men. That's what I'm saying. But
okay.
Yeah, big fan of her. Really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, it was fun.
I think other movies that we can mention really quickly that came out this year, Drop. You saw that movie. I did not. Was that any good?
I gave it a 2. 2.5, I think. Honestly, like, it was fine. Like, the twist was good, but the whole time I'm literally like, bro, one, you're at this fancy ass restaurant for a first date. What? And then two, I'm literally like, bro should leave. Like, she's doing crazy stuff.
But then there's no movie.
Right. But then he's like, oh, I caught on to what was happening. It was just weird. It was fun, but it wasn't like, oh my God, I think it knew it was supposed to be stupid, fun, campy.
Have you seen that guy's other movies?
I don't know what else he did.
He did Happy Death Day and like those movies. He did Freaky. That was the one with Vince Vaughn, I think. I haven't seen them, but I know that people really like those Happy Death Day movies as like kind of like goofy horror, kind of clever. So I feel like that's in this Drop is in like the same kind of camp or whatever. The trailer was interesting.
No, I think it's a funny premise, but everyone was like, everyone's turned off their airdrop. Like
that is pretty funny.
That was so 2016 for people to airdrop random shit to people. I think what we should do is the next month of movies is going to be like crazy big.
Summer, we're back.
Yeah, this summer. I think we should rank our top 3 movies that we're most excited to see from, I'd say, May to June, July.
Okay. I'm down.
I'm doing this off the cuff. This was not in the plan.
Go first, because I'll look up the release schedule right now for myself, but I think I can do it off the dome.
Okay. I mean, I think Fantastic Four #1 for me.
So that's July, I think.
Okay, we can count it.
Okay. We'll just count the whole summer then. Let's just do whole summer.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And then it's gonna be The Materialists with Chris Evans, Pedro Pascal, and Dakota Johnson. And then, I mean, Thunderbolts. Kind of. I'm building more hype for Thunderbolts, and I think we should talk about that. But I would put Thunderbolts at 3 right now. Like, I'm excited.
I'm very excited for it. But I'm getting there. Where like I'm fully. I told you this earlier. I'm fully muted. I muted all words Marvel. I know that the post-credit scene evidently leaked, and it's evidently something crazy. I like kind of don't care about Marvel leaks anymore in the sense that like I don't mind like reading up on like Avengers Doomsday leaks from like that movie's filming right now. It's going to change so much in a year. But like we're in the end game of like this movie comes out, I'm seeing it a week
from today. Yeah.
I don't need like I'm officially tuned out. So I hope that movie turns out well. So like that's what your top 3?
Yeah, I think so. I think currently as we're sitting here on this date in the year of our Lord, those are my top 3.
My #1 is Superman.
Oh, shit.
Superman is going to change my life.
I kind of forgot Superman.
And if it doesn't change my life, I'm going to be upset.
Can I put Superman and Fantastic Four together? Because in my brain, they are kind of together.
Yeah. See, okay, the new Fantastic Four trailer looks really good, but there's a part of me that's like, okay. Do you remember the Chris Evans Fantastic Four, the second one with the Silver Surfer?
Yes, of course.
So
Silver Surfer, of course.
Yeah. So this trailer has moments in it that look almost beat for beat the same as that movie with like the Silver Surfer and Johnny Storm flying and chasing and whatever.
Okay.
And obviously it's a female Silver Surfer now.
Right.
I wonder if that's like a meta decision or if this is just like way too familiar and we're just retreading like the same story.
But I don't think they would do that without it being on purpose.
I agree with you. I generally think we're in good hands with this. Yeah. I think I'm weirdly like positive about the Marvel movies coming out. Like Thunderbolts, I feel great about for some reason. And Fantastic Four, I think at the very least will be exciting and fresh and different. But Superman is where I'm the most excited because it's a new start. It's James Gunn.
Yeah.
And that trailer gives me chills every time. It's a lock.
It's a good one.
Then after Superman, I would probably do Fantastic Four.
Okay.
Because I think I'm more excited for Fantastic Four than I am for Thunderbolts. And then I'm trying to think of any other big summer movies. Thunderbolts might be but 3. Then there's like Jurassic World I don't really care about. What else am I forgetting?
Mission Impossible. We're forgetting about Mission Impossible.
Oh, yeah. Mission Impossible would probably be my number 2 behind Superman.
I honestly think Mission Impossible is number 4 for me.
And then like
every
the Glenn
time
Powell,
I see that material,
Edgar Wright movie, Running Man, I don't think is in the summer, but that is one of my most anticipated movies. Okay, so that's later. Yeah, you're right.
Colman Domingo.
That's right. I think that movie's going to be really good.
Colin, I think I'm going to become obsessed with that movie.
I'm so excited for Edgar Wright to be back.
I'm worried.
I feel like because he hasn't been as relevant recently, I haven't been as outward about my Edgar Wright love, but he is my favorite filmmaker of all time. Mainly because Shaun of the Dead was the movie that like kind of like got me into movies, in air quotes, of like when I was like 13 or whatever. That movie was playing on HBO like every day after school, and I just watched it like on repeat basically because I picked up all these new things.
When did you discover that movie? Was it on HBO?
Yeah, so that's where I honestly my movie kind of love began. It's just like turning on like the movie channels after school and just like flipping back and forth between them, whatever. That's where I discovered Shaun of the Dead, and that's when I was like, oh, movies can be clever. I was like, it blew my mind. I was like, oh wait, he set that up earlier in the movie, you know? Where I feel like
love a bookend.
Nice. I feel like everyone has that moment though with film where it's like their eyes open, they're like, oh, this isn't just entertainment. It can be clever and make you think, and it could be, I don't know, something different, make you feel different things. And like Shaun of the Dead was that first moment for me of like, oh, this has heart, this has comedy, it's clever, it's got callbacks to everything that it sets up. Love it. But this is not the Shaun of the Dead podcast.
Thank God. I wouldn't be here then.
Real quick, still state of cinema. I want to talk about some of the other movies that came out that we didn't see. So obviously a Minecraft movie was like this big phenomenon. And I think it's bizarre because, not bizarre, like it being a hit is not bizarre to me, but what's bizarre to me is that I grew up playing Minecraft, like back when I was watching Shaun of the Dead on HBO, even before that I was playing Minecraft, right?
Yeah.
Like right when it came out, basically. And there's this whole viral thing with the chicken jockey scene and all these like tantrums in the theater, and I don't understand it at all. It's completely below my age range or whatever.
But now, do they even? Here's my question, because I recently saw some of the videos of it where like people bring blowhorns and like they save the popcorn for it and whatever. And also, this movie we haven't seen it, but like critics panned it, right?
There's no way the movie is a good movie.
Then there's no way this movie is a good movie. But like I think about Super Mario Brothers, where that was a hit, but I still cried at the end. I still had a really good time sitting there.
I thought that was also kind of bad, but I gave it less shit because it's a kids animated movie.
Right, but there's still moments that you, as an adult,
it was
understand
okay.
and appreciate. Fine. Yeah. I think it probably is a better movie than this movie, where I feel like slop. Everything will go over my head. Yeah.
But also, like, it's just references, I guess, because, like, I played Minecraft. I understand the references to, like, the Ender Pearls and all this other stuff. But, like, the chicken jockey thing and some of the other, I guess, references in it are, like, references to, like, YouTubers and, like, streamers who play Minecraft, or just memes and jokes on the internet that are incomprehensible to anyone above the age of 20, it feels like.
Yeah.
So I have come to terms with a Minecraft movie as ultimately a good thing.
Because it's bringing people to the movie theater.
It's good for kids to go to the movie theater and have a good time. Because then they'll have that eyes
experience.
Like, obviously there's the eyes open to the artifice of movies, like I was kind of talking about. Mm-hmm. But there's also the eyes opening to, oh, movie theaters are amazing, and I'm having an amazing time here with my friends seeing this movie on the big screen. Obviously, I want kids to have better films to have that for, but it's a net positive, right?
I just think but then they're going to be like, yes, I think
they're
a
not
lot
going
of
to
kids
do that in every
I think
movie.
I hope not. There's
Like,
already kids texting on their phones and like, disrespect. Like, I feel so bad for those theater workers that have to clean up after
I
that
do
shit. Like,
too.
I've seen those photos of the theaters afterwards and how they purposely have to stagger out the timings of these movie screenings because it takes longer for them to clean the movie theater.
Yeah. So it's just I don't like that stuff, right?
Yeah,
But
I'm never gonna watch this movie. This movie was not made for me. This movie,
of course not.
I'm good.
But like,
No, I'm good.
I think back to, for myself, the first Avengers movie, 2012.
Yeah.
How unbelievably cool of seeing that movie at midnight on the opening Thursday with a packed screening. We got there hours early because reserved seating wasn't a thing at that point, and we had to get there to the theater as soon as possible to get a good seat. And people brought like a beach ball, and it was like a party in the theater before the movie, and there was applause and people going crazy for the big moments. It's everything you could want for that movie. And me at the time, it was the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, right? And that's what people think, or at least kids think, with this movie. Where even if it's ironic, even if it's a meme, whatever, it's good that they went to a movie theater, had a really good time, and will want to go to a movie theater again, presumably. So, obviously, the stuff is terrible with the chicken jockey thing, but
yeah, it was terrible. I'm
not going to watch this movie.
Hunger Games and Harry Potter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were Harry Potter, and then Hunger Games. Hunger Games a little later.
Hunger Games, was more high school, but like Harry Potter movies, I wasn't going to the midnight like screenings of it, but like everyone talking about those movies.
Right. Yeah. I think my first midnight screening was the Captain America: The First Avenger. I think.
Mom and I were talking about the cake that was made with M&Ms. Someone's birthday.
I think it was Ben's birthday, and so he made a Captain America cake or whatever.
Cool. Bring back eventizing movies. I love it.
And eventize like Sinners, it's great that Sinners is an eventized movie somehow, an original movie, and not Snow White and not Lilo and Stitch, because that shit pisses me off so much. I've also turned on the How to Train Your Dragon movie, because initially I was kind of like, oh, this could be something, but every look at it since has been like, oh, it doesn't look like anything new. The dragons don't look anything new. It's going to be the same movie, but
I'm curious about Snow White. I'll probably watch it when it like gets on streaming. I think the way they're marketing it, being like, see this movie on the biggest screen possible, is eventizing it like Barbenheimer a little bit.
Like Sinners, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, Sinners is.
I agree with that.
Barbenheimer coded a little bit. But
or at least they're running that playbook of like, you have
I think
to see
Snow
this
White,
on the big screen.
Yeah, Snow White's not my favorite princess. I'm not running out to see a Snow White movie. I love Rachel Zegler, and I think she's super talented, but
Gal Gadot.
You're not gonna get a late 20s girl who, is gonna go see that movie if it's not great. And I just feel bad about that. And then Lilo and Stitch, my opinions about Lilo and Stitch. Don't touch it.
Yeah. I do think we've reached a point where like audiences are really demanding original new ideas and new things. So. And
am I in my New York bubble and hoping that?
Colin? I think that people, I don't know, maybe I'm in a bubble too, just like film Twitter or whatever. But like, I think that people want Sinners and they don't want Snow White, and they're finally actually showing that in the box office, where like it didn't always used to be the case of like these Beauty and the Beast made $1 billion or whatever, and that movie was garbage.
They're so different because it's like Moana 2, like that Moana 2 isn't Moana 1, but I still went to see that because I was like, or Frozen, like I thought I was way too old to be seeing Frozen and Frozen 2.
I saw Frozen 2 in theaters, no shame.
Yeah, I still had a great time, no shame. Like I was like, this is awesome, it's for the kids, but it's
now
also,
I can't even
like,
tell you the last time I went to the theater to see like a Pixar movie, because I feel like the Disney brand has become so tainted of like, until they win back audiences with, they actually make high quality stuff, not just crap that you can put on for your kid to get them to shut up for 2 hours,
I mean, I think Moana's
but Moana 2 is crap.
Yeah, Moana 2 wasn't
Moana
good.
2 was just 3-4 episodes of a miniseries thrown together, and it makes no sense.
The way I justify Moana 2 is it's the Lion King 1.5. It should have been straight to VOD movie that we would watch on VHS.
But it made so much money in theaters, which I can't complain about Moana 2 too much, because at the end of the day, I love that they were like, oh, this is dumb. Why are we making Moana for Disney Plus when we can put it in theaters and make $1 billion.
Right.
It's just these brain dead studio execs that aren't putting everything in theaters where things make the most money.
Yeah, I just think we just also need to say, hey, this can be a fun little like musical princess movie that we're going to put in the theaters, and that's going to be for this. But then you can also go see this, and then you can also see high quality cinema for everyone, or whatever you're into, kind of thing. They can live both. They all can live in a movie theater.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even the amateur can live in a movie theater. I like how they're trying to like say
Jason
like
Statham.
See it in the big screen, see it on the theaters, or no, the amateur is not Jason Statham.
No, I know, but I compare in my head the amateur and working man because they both look so like, at least Jason Statham movies, you're
generic.
Like, this is gonna be fun. He plays the same guy. Like,
I like the generic Jason Statham movie because you know exactly what it is.
Exactly what you're getting. You're getting cool action and Jason Statham saying funny things, right? Like, I don't need a Rami Malek spy.
I don't like Rami Malek. I don't like him as an actor. Like, he was fine in that Mr. Robot show, and then he won an Oscar for wearing fake teeth and not singing, and now his career is what? Showing up in Oppenheimer for 2 seconds in this, and being the villain in the James Bond movie that everyone kind of agrees that his villain was the worst part of that movie.
Right. His villain was just a means to an end to get Bond to a certain
Everyone's favorite scene in that movie is the scene with Ana de Armas, which is literally just a side quest in the movie. And that scene got Ana de Armas her own John Wick franchise. So, that's another movie I'm very excited for this summer, because that's going to be sick. Ballerina.
Nice.
All right, we should wrap up. I know you have a hard out. So
yes, I do.
We will talk again for Thunderbolts.
Yeah. We could live pod together after Thunderbolts.
Nice. We'll be seeing it together.
Yes, we're seeing it. He's coming and seeing it in IMAX.
Mm-hmm. It'll be sweet.
On the biggest screen. It's Thunderbolts. They keep saying films for IMAX, which I'm wondering what that means.
They just have some sequences that are going to be IMAX. Like, I'm sure like the one sequence of Florence Pugh jumping off the building that they're advertising as like a big stunt, that was probably shot with IMAX cameras, and that's probably it.
Okay. Because I'm like, what is that? What's the difference between?
Well, every movie can be put on an IMAX screen.
Totally.
I
mean, we saw Transformers in an IMAX.
Every
that's
movie,
an animated movie.
Every movie can be expanded into that ratio, to a degree.
Right.
But
if you're filmed on it, it has more impact.
Yeah.
See,
I don't
Ryan
know.
Coogler's video taught me that.
There you go. All right, let's wrap up here, and then we'll be back with another fine episode of the Hotel Motill podcast. Potentially next week, potentially in 4 months. Who's to say?
You never know.
All right.
We'll work on our segues.
Like Paul Blart? Segue. That was good. All right.
All right, bye.